All right, so today we're going to tackle the official rules for getting and keeping an insurance license right here in New York. If you're looking to build a career in this industry, trust me, understanding these regulations isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential. So let's dive in. So, ever feel like you're just totally lost in the maze of New York's insurance rules and deadlines? Yeah, it's really easy to feel that way. But don't you worry, we're here to hand you the map. Think of this as your roadmap. We're going to cut right through all that complexity and give you a straight up, step by step guide that comes directly from New York's official regulations. Simple as that. Okay, so first things first. Before we can even talk about getting a license, we've got to understand the key players in the game. The state has some really specific definitions for professionals, and it all starts with the adjuster. So, what is an adjuster, really? Well, according to New York state law, it's pretty straightforward. It's anyone who gets paid to investigate and settle insurance claims. But, from this one simple definition, the path actually splits into two very different careers. And right here, this is the crucial difference. An independent adjuster, they work for the insurance company. A public adjuster, they work for the policyholder, the person who actually filed the claim. The law is incredibly clear on this. You need an independent license for the insurer and a public license for the insured. All right, now that we know who's who, let's get to the good stuff. How do you actually get one of these licenses? This next part is all about the core requirements you're going to need to meet. Believe it or not, the whole journey really boils down to 5 essential steps. You start with the basics, then you get qualified with either experience or training. You got to pass the state exam, get through a background check, and finally, take care of the financial stuff. Let's break each of those down. First up, the absolute basics, and it's a simple one. Before you can even get started, you have to be at least 18 years old. That's it. That's the first gate you have to pass through to apply for an adjuster's license in New York. Okay, step 2. This is where you have a choice to make. To even be allowed to sit for the state exam, you've got to meet one of 2 conditions. Path 1, you have at least 1 solid year of experience in the insurance business. Or Path 2, you knock out a 40-hour pre-licensing course that's been approved by the state. So, you pass the exam. That's huge. But hold on, you're not quite at the finish line yet. New York puts a really high value on integrity, which is why these next steps are all about earning public trust. You'll need to get fingerprinted for a background check, hand in a certificate of character that's been signed by 5 reputable people, and of course, confirm you have no felony convictions. And here we are, the final step to making it official. You're required to post a $1,000 surety bond and pay a $50 license fee. Now, that bond isn't just some fee. Think of it as a financial promise to the public that you're going to do business the right way. Once that's all squared away, congratulations, you are officially licensed. Okay, so you've got the license in hand. Awesome. But here's the thing, getting it is only half the battle. Now, we've got to talk about what it takes to keep it. This is all about staying compliant and treating your license like the ongoing professional commitment it is. Now, you're going to want to pay close attention here, because this part can trip people up. The renewal dates are different depending on what kind of license you have. For adjusters, it's December 31st of every even-numbered year. For producers or agents, it's every 2 years on your birthday. And if you're a business entity, your deadline is June 13th of odd-numbered years. And no surprise, the state really wants you to renew on time. Filing late comes with a little penalty. If you get your renewal in after the deadline, but you're still within that 60-day window, they'll tack on a $10 fee. It's not a huge amount, but hey, it's definitely easy to avoid. Now, a really big piece of staying compliant is continuing your education. To renew most licenses in New York, you're going to need to complete 15 hours of approved coursework every 2 years. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of these CE rules. You need those 15 hours every 2 years, and your deadline is tied to your birthday. Now, here's a key point. You can't carry over any extra hours to the next cycle. They want your knowledge to be current. And for any non-residents out there, there's some good news. As long as you're meeting the CE requirements in your home state, New York considers you good to go. All right, so the rules we've covered so far work for most people most of the time. But what happens when life throws you a curveball? Let's talk about some of these special scenarios, like moving to New York or dealing with an unexpected life event. This one comes up all the time. What if you're already a pro, licensed in another state, and you're thinking about working in New York? Well, New York has a specific process for that, and it's based on something called reciprocity. Basically, it means the states agree to recognize each other's standards. The good news is, because of these reciprocity agreements, you can usually get a non-resident New York license without having to take the state exam all over again. But, and this is a big but, if you physically move to New York, a 90-day clock starts ticking. You have to convert your license to a resident one within that time. If you miss that window, you have to start the whole licensing process from scratch. Ouch. You know, life is unpredictable. So what's the plan if a licensee suddenly can't work anymore because of death, a disability, or being called in a military service? The law actually has a provision for exactly this. The solution is something called a temporary license. In these tough situations, a license can be issued without an exam to someone qualified, like a family member or the executor of an estate. This is all about business continuity, making sure clients are taken care of and commissions can still be collected. But they are definitely not permanent. They come with really strict time limits, like 15 months max for cases involving death or disability. Okay, one last but super important tip for staying on the right side of the rules. If you plan to operate your business under an assumed name, a DBA or doing business as, you absolutely have to get approval from the Department of Insurance before you start using it. When you really boil it all down, this is the core message. Getting your license is a huge achievement, for sure. But maintaining it, through continuing education, renewing on time, and just conducting yourself ethically, that's the true mark of a professional. Staying informed is your #1 tool for success. So there you have it. That's the full roadmap for New York insurance licensing. These rules aren't just hoops to jump through. They're the foundation for a trustworthy professional career. Now that you know the rules of the road, the only question is, which path will you take? Thanks for watching.